Hi everybody, it's Adri with Raising Batman, and I was cleaning off my entry table where I keep a lot of my paperwork before I go and put it in my file cabinet, and all the paperwork from the summit and stuff like that I hadn't gotten to put away yet, and I was sitting there thinking there's probably a lot of good stuff in there that I came across that everyone might not know about, and I figured I would share some more resources with you. So some of it is summit stuff. I can go into more detail about different things that we talked about, and some of it is just everyday stuff. A lot of it I think is occupational therapy stuff because I've been going through a lot of that paperwork lately. So let me get right into it. Sorry, my Freddy Krueger in the background there. I didn't realize that. Sorry if it bothers some of y'all, but let me go ahead and start with just some phone numbers and things that you guys might find interesting. Oops. So this is all summit stuff here. Okay, so people in the beginning of your diagnosis, either you just don't know what's going on with your kid, or you just got a diagnosis. That sensory integration summit that I spoke at had a lot of really good signs for stuff to look for if you kind of don't know what's going on with your kid, if it is just sensory or you think it might be autism or something like that. If you just got your diagnosis, this is really, really good. I don't know if you can see that there. It's a 100-day kit. So you can get it, you can print it out for free on Autism Speaks website. I think you just got to sign up with your email or something like that, and you can download it as a PDF. And it's basically what you do the first 100 days after you get your diagnosis. And there is a ton of stuff in here that is, like I said, it says it's Autism Speaks 100-day kit, and it goes through and tells you different places you can go, different doctors. It explains what autism is, how autism is diagnosed. It will go through, there are different, like it'll go through all the symptoms of autism, social symptoms, what causes autism, things like that. It'll go through like some genetic things on here too. Basically, there is a criteria for a diagnosis of autism, and the way I was always told about it, it's okay if your kid maybe does like one or two little quirky things or whatever that might be a little out of the ordinary, but if you're checking off like 4 or 5 or 6 of those things on that list, then there might be something else going on. So this is basically saying impairment of social interaction, or saying a total of 6 or more on here. Failure to develop peer relationships, a lack of spontaneous seeking to share enjoyment, interest, etc. A delay in the lack of spoken language, so if they have a speech delay, if they have social issues, or if they have restricted, repetitive, or stereotype patterns of behavior, interests, and activities as manifested by at least 2 of the following. So what that means really is if they have repetitive behavior, like if they're rocking back and forth, or if they're flapping their hands a lot. I know one thing that Gage would always do is take the wheels of a car and turn it up, turn the car upside down and spin it and just look at it and watch it spin. He used to open and close doors all the time. He used to turn the lights on and off all the time. So things like that, when it's like repetitive behavior that's not your quote-unquote typical behavior for kids. He liked to play by himself a lot too and go in his room and do stuff like that. Not really do like imaginative play, or not really play with toys like they're supposed to, you know, like if they're, like I said, if they're supposed to play with a car, you know, they're supposed to kind of drive it around on the table or the floor or whatever and act like they're going somewhere, where Gage would just turn the car over and play with the wheels. Or if they're throwing toys a lot, Gage throws toys a lot. Or if they're driving it off of a table and watching it fall, they like the sound, they like the way it looks. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff in here. There's a lot of positive stuff in here too that I really like, because a lot of the stuff can get very overwhelming and very negative, but this one is actually, will point out a bunch of positive things too. Like, I mean, what most people may not realize is kids on the spectrum, most of them are very, very smart. My son is extremely smart. And a lot of them might have good math skills or music ability, artistic ability, ability to think in a visual way. Gage is a very visual learner. Honesty, they're very honest. They're very literal. Ability to be extremely focused, excellent sense of direction, which are all very good things, and Gage does have a lot of those skills. A very, very good memory. He has an excellent memory. That's in here as well. Ability to understand concrete concept rules and things like that. So there's lots of other good stuff on here. It does talk about genetic disorders, seizure disorders, things like that. What you need to know about your younger children in the future. It talks about siblings, how to get help in here, your rights for public education, things like that. So it kind of lays a bunch of stuff out for you. Educational services for children, you know, 3 to 22, stuff like that. So there's lots of good stuff in here. It explains ABA and what ABA is. I believe it actually has different places you can go for that too. How to start early intervention, things like that. So, if you just got your diagnosis, or even if you don't know exactly what's going on with your kid, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here and resources and everything that you should check out. If nobody gave you this or told you about it or whatever, it's really good. Okay. And okay, this is the one of the summit. There is a, what is this? Transitioning planning resources. Okay, this has a bunch of, if you do have a diagnosis, this is specific if you're in Texas, because in Texas, everything has like a 10-year waiting list when it comes to services like adult services and things like that. So if you need to go ahead and get on those waiting lists, even if you just got your diagnosis, because 10 years later, they'll call you up and be like, are you ready yet? Okay, no, you want to keep on the waiting list? Okay. So they'll keep calling you like every year after that until you're ready for an adult service or something like that. And some of these aren't just adult services. Some of them you could be using right now. So if you guys are interested in ABA and your insurance doesn't cover it and you can't afford it, where I take Gage, and what I am a big advocate for too, because they are amazing, there is it's called Metro Care services. If you're in the DFW area, Metro Care, they mainly do like Dallas area, but there are like other places you can go besides here. But this is their information. I have it here. If you want their phone number or their address of where to go, I can hook you up with that. They they will take your Medicaid, they will take your private insurance. It is a state government funded program. They go off of a sliding income scale. So what that means is they take your income monthly and they look at it and kind of go from there. So to see what you could possibly afford. So say if you have like a family of 4 and you make this much, this is how much it's going to be for you. It differs for every household, and sometimes it's free. So it just depends on what your income is. You don't have to have SSI or anything like that. There is a waiting list though. I waited for about 8 months. So when he got diagnosed at 3, I didn't find out about it until he was about maybe 3.5. So we didn't get in until he was, let's see, he turned 4 that September and we got in that December. So we're on the waiting list for a while. So even if you just got a diagnosis, like I said, you don't know where to go for, you want to get ABA, but your insurance doesn't cover it, whatever, there are facilities like this. And MetroCare is not the only one, but it is Dallas area. So message me or comment or whatever if you want to know where to do that. There are several different other places you can go for like speech therapy, occupational therapy, feeding therapy, physical therapy, whatever you need. The ECI and the Warren Center are really good for that as well. I mean, I personally, we go through Children's. They have several different locations, but when you're first starting out, and they're younger than 3 years old, you can go through ECI, which is Early Childhood Intervention. And basically, I think that's the Warren Center. Kind of the same deal. They can shoot you in the right direction for that. And by the time that they're 3, though, they transition you into public school, into the PPCD program, which is the preschool program for children with disabilities. And they do offer speech there and occupational there, and I think they have physical therapy too. Gage never really needed physical, so I'm not completely sure. Well, he did when he was a baby, but not by the time he was 3. And you can still have additional speech and occupational though as well. We did in-home therapy, but you can also do outpatient, which means you go to a clinic. So after they're 3 years old, you just have to figure out, you can call your insurance. If you have Medicaid, they can point you to somebody in the area that takes your insurance. I just know local places for us, but you can call the Warren Center and they could possibly point you in the right direction, or you can talk to your pediatrician. Talk to your pediatrician about it because they give out the referrals, so they know where to go to, and whoever they give you will be able to tell you, yes, we take your insurance, or if you want to do cash pay, you go here or whatever. Usually cash pay is ABA, especially here in Texas, because there's not a lot of insurances that cover ABA, but most of them will cover speech and occupational and things like that. Occupational is more for like sensory things. They work on fine motor skills, gross motor skills. They work on like life skills, learning how to get dressed, learning how to, if you want to do the whole brushing your teeth, learning how to write, do your little pincer grasp, things like that. And they also do like calming down techniques. They do like deep pressure stuff. That's one thing I did want to talk about, because that was another one in the other summit, was the sensory integration. I do brushing, occupational brushing with Gage, which is you get one of these little brushes like this. I don't know if you can kind of see. It looks like a little brush like they give you in the hospital when you have your baby. It's very, very soft. And basically you will brush their back, their arms, and their legs. And you do it for a couple of minutes. You're supposed to do it maybe 2-3 times a day, or every couple of hours if you can fit it in. But I usually do it like twice a day. I'll do it in the morning before he goes to school when we're getting dressed, and then at night before bedtime. It really calms them down a lot. It helps them focus. You do the occupational brushing, just hard enough to where it doesn't tickle, but obviously soft enough to where it's not going to hurt. And right after you brush, you do joint compressions. So you push down on their shoulders 10 times. You you press down on their chest, like you put one hand on their back and one hand on their chest. And it's either 3 or 5 times. I do it 5 times. And then you take, like you grab this part before your elbow, and then up here above your elbow, and you press it together. You compress that 10 times, then you do the wrists, then you do the fingers. And you can do the same thing with the legs and things, but our OT therapist said just basically get them to jump. You can get them to jump 10 times, and he loves that part of it. And then for me personally, I've always put like lavender lotion on Gage after that, and just always before bedtime. It calms them down. I give them a little massage with the lavender lotion. So I'll try to find a YouTube video out there of somebody doing the occupational brushing and joint compressions. If it's not out there, I'll make one. So there's that. That is really good stuff. And also I have, if any of you are interested, the summit that I spoke at, I have the slides, the whole presentation that we did. And this has a lot of good information in it too. It tells you what sensory integration is. Everything you feel, see, hear, smell, and taste is translated into pulses through your nervous system that travels to your brain. Brain takes all the information in. It decides what it's going to do based on the information. And then it sends pulses back out to your muscles and limbs and things like that. So a lot of the time, people on the spectrum are not getting the right information from the brain. So I know I talked about my other video how some kids or some people can be hypersensitive and some are hyposensitive. So I know for years with Gage, pain, he was hyposensitive. He wouldn't hardly feel pain at all. He would never cry when he got hurt. I wouldn't know half the time. He doesn't come to me and tell me he's hurt or anything like that. So, I mean, he would hit his leg, and, you know, I wouldn't know what happened when the bruise shows up the next day, because he never cried. He never even told me that something was hurting, because it didn't really hurt him. Or others can be extremely sensitive to things like that. So it can go either way. So this goes into everything as far as all the senses. It goes into what different sensory things you can do. Like a lot of these things that Gage really loves to do: popping bubble wrap, rubbing the skin with lotion, towels, or a soft bristle brush. Okay, so exactly what I just said. Squeezing soft balls or tubes, playing with water, playing with rice and beans, things like that, Play-Doh, blowing bubbles, giving high fives, having shapes and letters drawn on their back, finger painting. There's all kinds of like visual stuff in here. So there's all kinds of things that, different tips and stuff like you can do with them if they are having some sensory issues. So if you want that information, message me, comment, whatever. I got all that right here. It was a really, really good summit. Lots of really good information. There's also this store right here. I've seen her little booklet several times. It has a lot of sensory things in there, like weighted vests and weighted blankets and things like that. Compression vests. It's got like lots of little chewies and things like that in there for kids that like to chew on things all the time. It's got like the big old swings and stuff in there. I mean, there's lots of good stuff. You can get a lot of sensory stuff, lots of different places, and a lot of this stuff is pretty expensive. She has pretty good prices on most of her stuff. I know I've shared a few other things though about some expensive sensory things that you can get for free if you sign up for it, or there's different nonprofits out there that will do stuff for free for you. I know I just recently shared one about weighted blankets. And let's see here. There is, okay, yeah, and then there's, I can also share, I think I already shared that, never mind. I was going to say I can share the parent training classes. I go to a lot of parent training classes, especially in the past before Harley was born. That actually helps me out a lot. And usually your school district will let you know if they offer stuff like that. If they do, take advantage of it, because a lot of these workshops that people pay to go to, you can go to for free via your school district. They put on these parent trainings, and it has a lot of good information in it. So everyone is a different topic, just like all the different workshops and summits and things like that. They'll have topics about resources. They'll have topics about what you do when your kid is older, or just going through everything. I also have packets like this. Like, I'm pretty sure this is from a parent training. Ins and Out of Autism. It's basically explains again what autism is, myths and things to consider, what all you can look for, early signs and symptoms, red flags of autism, not responding to their name by 12 months of age, not pointing to objects or showing interest in things like that, not playing pretend, avoiding eye contact. I mean, all this stuff that I've talked about before and stuff that I've known, I've shared before. Having trouble understanding, like, what they call, like, receptive language. They don't have a lot of receptive language. So, like, if I'm just like, Gage, come here, Gage, come here, Gage, come here. Like, he doesn't, he's not going to respond to that. He doesn't really understand what I want when I'm telling him to come here. Delayed speech. Or if they don't have delayed speech, they're repeating things over and over, which Gage does that a lot. It's called, he scripts a lot, is basically when he's repeating things that he's heard over and over and over. So, I mean, I can't have a conversation with him, but he can sit there and quote a whole movie all day, over and over. He loves The Incredibles. He quotes The Incredibles a lot. That's why you gotta watch what they're watching on YouTube and stuff. He'll just randomly, all the restrictions are on and everything on YouTube. I've tried to take it off his tablet and just have him on YouTube Kids, but even some of the stuff on there, like today, he was going around saying, oh crap, and I'm like, okay, well, I mean, that's not terrible, but still, I don't want you, you don't need to be going around saying that all the time. So, I mean, he's just a video he picked up on, saw, I don't know. Another red flag is getting upset by minor changes. So changes in the routine, things like that can cause a big meltdown. Having obsessive interests, like, like I said before, maybe flicking the lights on and off, opening and closing doors, or lining things up. A lot of kids on the spectrum line things up all the time. Flapping their hands, rocking their body, spinning in circles, having unusual reactions to the way things sound, smell, taste, look, or feel. Again, sensory issues. Because a lot of times that goes hand in hand. Not every time, but a lot it does. And then it's got a bunch of other things in here, like facts and statistics and things like that. So pretty sure I did get this out of parent training. And then there's some also like success stories and stuff like that, or like, just stories of kids that were told that they were severe and they were never going to be able to do anything, and they, were going to have to be put in a home, and now they're in college, and now they have degrees, and now they're doing, great. Same thing with, Temple Grandin. Look at her. And, she was labeled like that when she was younger. So, I mean, you never know. And to me, it is what it is, and, all you can do is be there for your kid, love your kid. They get older every day. They're never going to be this age again. And, just try to enjoy your kid. And it'll all be all right. It'll work out somehow. And it also has contact information in here, resources, things like that. So, there's all that. Like I said, I would definitely go to parent trainings if you can. I also have Department of Aging and Disability Services for different states. These are and counties and things like that. So places you need to go to for help for whenever they're older. I mean, guys, I have a ton of paperwork. If you need help with resources, if I don't have it right off the top of my head, I will find it for you. I have a lot of people I can talk to for resources and things like that. Safety awareness. I mean, talking about eloping, running away. This was another workshop that I went to, and things you can do to help that. I know I've talked about it in another video before. All this stuff that I talk about is all stuff that I've learned from therapists and from parent workshops that are set up by therapists and things like that, or educators. Oh, here we go. Here's ECI. If you need their phone number, I have ECI. So, there's your phone number right there. I don't know if you can see that. The 800 number. So, yeah, and then there's Metro Care Services. There's just all kinds of stuff that I have that will be able to help you guys. Autism referrals and resources. I have a whole nother one here of all kinds of stuff in Dallas. Oh, I have in my email, and I know I've sent it to a couple people before, and they've gotten it. There is a ton of stuff. Therapies that are free, like hippotherapy, which is dealing with horses. Aquatic therapy for free, like free music therapy, free art therapy, free, just all kinds of stuff like that that usually insurance doesn't pay for, that you have to do cash pay. There are nonprofits out there that you can get it for free. There might be waiting lists. It might be kind of far from where you live, but it's out there. And there's all kinds of summer camps and things like that for kids on the spectrum. I mean, there is a ton of stuff out there, and I have it all in an email too, if you guys want that email. Lots of good resources in that email. Message me and let me know. I will send it to you. There's all kinds of, like, there's different academies and things like that on here. Yeah, see, there's eQuest. eQuest is a good place for hippotherapy or equine therapy. Yeah, they have, I have that number here. There's lots of different churches in the area that do things too. I mean, there's just so much out there that I had no idea about, that I had to acquire all this stuff slowly over the years. So, but yeah, I mean, there's a sensory checklist here. I know, like, Gage back in the day didn't used to like to be touched or hugged or anything like that. That's another sign. Yeah. Oh, here's the deep pressure brushing program. Yeah, see, this says every 2 waking hours, but it's not possible. But basically what the brushing does, it says the brushing and joint compressions decrease sensory defensiveness in children and help them respond more appropriately to sensory events throughout the day. If done properly, it can have a significant calming effect while retraining the brain to work in sync with the body. Brushing and joint compressions can improve the ability to transition between daily activities, improve the ability to pay attention, decrease the fear and discomfort of being touched, increase the ability of the central nervous system to use information from the peripheral nervous system more effectively, resulting in enhanced movement, coordination, communication, sensory modulation, and hence self-regulation. I'm here to tell you, it works. It really does. Like, I thought it was kind of silly at first, like, how is it really going to do all of this for him? But it really does. Like, it made a huge difference in Gage. He does now come to me whenever he's hurt and tell me he has a boo-boo, and he kind of cries, gets upset about it. You know, he's not as clumsy as he used to be. It does calm him down, and when he's calm, he can pay attention a little bit better. Just he's more focused. It really does help out with a lot of things. It's actually made him like a little more regular too. So yeah, I mean, when I say regular, I mean like potty wise, bathroom wise. I also have a list of PPCD campuses in the Garland area for GISD. So if you are not sure what school to go to in GISD for PPCD programs, I have it right here if you need it. Here's tips and strategies for summertime. There's parent trainings also at MetroCare where we take him for ABA, and they do a monthly parent training. Lots of good stuff. I have stuff from that. Here's different ways you can give pressure to your body, deep pressure, occupational stuff. You can do log rolls, a bear crawl, crawling through a tunnel. You can do the wheelbarrow walk, crawling, somersaults. You can do a scooter board like on their stomachs, jumping on a trampoline, bouncing on a ball. It doesn't have to be like a medicine ball or anything like that. You know those cheap little, I guess like under $5 big old balls at Walmart? Get one of those. Gage loves bouncing on one of those. Or actually getting on his stomach on the ball, and you kind of hold his legs and do that. A crash pad, which those are those really expensive foam things you see in the gyms and whatnot. Put a bunch of pillows down on the floor and he can crash into that. Army crawl, things like that. One thing that Gage really does like to do too is get wrapped up in a blanket like a burrito. So you lay the blanket out, get him on the end of it, and just wrap him in it. And then once he gets to the end and he's wrapped up like a tight little burrito, give him some squeezes. He really likes that. Calms him down a lot. You can get a blanket if you have somebody else with you to help you. Take one end of the blanket and have them take the other end, lay them long ways, and just swing them. Gage loves that too. He loves to swing. Yeah, there's hanging upside down. He likes to hang upside down a lot. I just have so much paperwork, so much stuff that therapists have given me over the years that work for Gage and could work for your kid too. There's occupational therapy home exercise program. I have a whole sheet of that as well. Fine motor activity. You know, if they need to work on that pincer graph, you can get tweezers or tongs and have them pick up like little pom-poms. You can get pom-poms at Walmart and get a little jar or a cup or something and have them pick up the pom-poms with those little tongs or tweezers and put them in the cup, and they can have fun dumping it. Or I know my son likes to dump it from cup to cup if he fills it up with the tongs. Same thing with, like, you can get like little eyedroppers with water, because Gage loves to play with water. As long as they're pinching it, they can get a little eyedropper, get water in it, put it from one cup to the other. I mean, they're strengthening those muscles. So that's good stuff right there too. I was gonna say, I just recently, I think I'm following, I can share it with you guys, but I'm following somebody on Instagram right now. It's an ABA program that has stuff like this that you can print out for free. I know Google has some stuff like this too, but it's kind of hard. But like to do, there's my to-do list where these things are to do, and then you move it over to done.